This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
In a village, when you're going to borrow salt from a neighbor, you borrow from that one who has and not that one who doesn't have. Panel resolved. My name is Cherop Meshak, a student at Busoga College, with the school, and we are Team Affirmative in tonight's debate. Let me first give them what they have said today in tonight's debate. Let me first begin with the definition of the best solution as the most effective. I am very amused and I'm very happy that you understand that. But the question is, what is the best solution in your own side of the house? They have not answered that question. We have answered our question, which is the progressive taxation, meaning that we have given our own side of the house. Please, Team Negative, please come back and debate that properly. They have told us about the narrow tax base. Narrow tax base. What is causing the narrow tax base in the country? What is it is the question. What is causing the narrow tax base is the fact that these are very many things that are, for example, let me give you an example of the people of the businessmen in Kampala of recent were striking because of the high taxation system in the country. What are we talking about? This is the high taxes that are affecting the most people. They're talking about the narrow tax base. Let me inform them that 80% of these people are in the informal sector and 20% are paying the what? The taxes. That is according to the conversation report, April 2024. And we are saying, what is causing this? The people are avoiding taxation. What is causing this? The high taxation. If I am having a business that is handing 100,000 shillings and they're taxing me 50% of that, what am I gaining? What is the problem? Our dear judges, what have we said as Team Affirmative today? We are that one
point of information.
I will take that later. Thank you very much. What is the problem in Uganda's taxation system? We have said the low tax moral, which is leading to widespread tax avoidance. We have spoken about the 80% of Uganda's population in the informal sector, and they are taxing all of 20%. We are speaking about the difficulty in taxing of the rich, and this we are coming in about now. Let us look at this. Uganda loses. The country loses approximately 42 million USDs in. According to the report of Conversation Report, April 2019, still the same report, and says that the revenue loses a peak of 42 million USD, that's a US dollars, and yet we are giving the people, and the people who are causing this loss is the fact that we are only taxing the poor and forgetting that we're giving these people tax holidays and so on. Our dear judges, let them come and answer the proper question here. What are we saying today, our dear judge? We are speaking about why is progressive taxation the best, our dear judge. You have said it reduces income inequality, it increases on the good government revenue, it also reduces tax burden on the poor. As I said earlier on, you borrow from that one who has salt, not that who doesn't have, our dear judges. The country is losing behind. Let me go back to the point of the 14% the GDP ratio. They are speaking about sub-Saharan countries at the 18%. But what is their problem in this case? Our country is having a regressive taxation system, right? And we are having that. That is very clear in the status quo. But it is not raising the 18% that we need. But we are saying that progressive taxation will raise the 18% in how
point of information
taken, please.
Is pay as you earn tax a regressive or
Thank you very much. I want to continue from there. Our dear judge, we want to continue from there. You're saying pay as you earn tax. Our dear, I think we have already noticed very well that when you speak of a taxation system, we are going to speak of how we are going to tax each and every person in this case. We are going to have all these things noted in the progressive taxation. Let me go back to my state. The Uganda's poverty line stands at $0.08. Rural poverty rates are typically higher than the urban poverty rates, with 55% of households in rural areas experiencing poverty, and 23% of those in urban centers only having 23%. And this is according to the source is Oxfam, my dear judges. Look at this. We're already seeing that in urban areas where the rich are there, we are having only 23% of poor people. But we are taxing the kind of taxation system right now is actually only affecting the poor, which is very dangerous to our economy. We are speaking of progressive taxation, which is going to help us to charge accordingly. If someone in the village is given, I want to raise my case by saying this motion should stand. Thank you very much.
Team of farmers clearly know that 80% of people are in the informal sector. Team of farmers clearly know that there is a high rate of poverty in Uganda. Now, they have clearly failed to show us how progressive taxation can actually solve this problem. Now, the fact that there are many people in the informal sector, there are many people who are poor, it means that we have a low tax base. Now, we are asking Team of farmers, do you know the meaning of tax to GDP ratio? They actually do not know, because tax to GDP ratio is actually a way of measuring a tax base. So that means that if their aim is to make sure they increase the number of people, the tax to GDP ratio from 13.6 to 18, that means they're increasing, they're actually helping to increase the tax tax base, that means that they're actually focusing on increasing tax base, not tax collection. That means their problem is not what they're solving. Now, from the first farmer up to the moment when I'm speaking, they have not yet showed us how actually progressive taxation can actually help to improve the number of the amount of money that is being collected. We as team negators are clearly telling you, team of August panel, that we have a problem of a low tax base, in that many people belong to the informal sector. The Uganda is having many people who are actually suffering in poverty, and that is the reason why we have the issue of a narrow tax base. Now we are saying that to increase the tax base, which is our plausible solution, they're saying we have not given our solution. Our solution is to widen the tax base. To increase and widen the tax base, it means that we must actually have more registration of taxpayers. According to the annual press conference of Uganda Revenue Authority, we are saying that in the financial year 2022 to 2023, the number of taxpayers registered increased from 882,286, indicating a growth of 33.7%. This means that this is what we are calling a plausible solution, because we are seeing that more people are being registered. Therefore, we are actually increasing the tax base, at the same time answering their problem, which is the increment of tax collection. Secondly, we are also seeing that there are many tax reforms that are being organized by the government to widen the tax base. For example, tax prior education, and where they're saying people are illiterate, and we're saying there's tax prior education. For example, we're saying that according to the official website of Uganda Revenue Authority partnered with Nation Media Group to advance the tax education agenda by partnership with things like radio stations, for example, KFM, the NTV, the Spark TV, and Daily Monitor. All these are efforts that are directed towards increasing the tax base, because that is the problem that Uganda Revenue Authority cites as the major problem that is facing the tax collection. Now, panel, the fact that team of farmers fail to actually identify the real problem with Uganda's taxation, it means that their solution is actually narrow and actually myopic. They are not looking at the plausible solution to solving the real problem facing Uganda's taxation. Now, we as team negators identify the real problem facing Uganda's taxation based on what the government cites, and that is a narrow tax base. And we are saying that answering such solutions are actually the most plausible solution. They talked about people being in the informal sector. Now we are asking them, can progressive taxation actually remove people from in the informal sector to come into the formal sector? Now, can progressive taxation actually reduce the level of poverty? Because that is their aim. That means that if they know the problem, but their aim or their solution cannot solve that problem, that is not an effective solution, because they agreed with our definition that the best solution is an effective solution, and their solution is actually not effective. Now we are saying that by aiming at widening the tax base, it means that we are seeing that Uganda Revenue Authority are doing things like one, they are closing down businesses that are not actually complying with tax payments, and two, they are forwarding out a shame list, whereby recently the new vision of 14th May 2024, a shame list of 284 politicians who had failed to pay their taxes was released. All these are efforts aimed towards widening the tax base, and these efforts are the same efforts that actually increase the tax collection. Their problem is wrong, but their problem is actually solved by our solution. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to tell you as team of farmers that when we focus at widening the tax base, we end up addressing the real problem facing Uganda's taxation. August House, we shall clearly show you the importance of investment in Uganda.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.